and welcome to the Homefront. My name is Michelle Posey. It's such a pleasure to be the host today. Guys, we want to welcome you literally into the home, but we're here to protect our home front. And how do we do that? We do that by making sure that we never go canceled and muted again. You know, there was so much we weren't allowed to talk about, ladies, in the last 4 years, whether it's healthcare. Certainly weren't allowed to question anything with election integrity or security. That's not how this country was founded, and that's not how we're going to go out. We are going to stay unfiltered and unmuted. So if you like that kind of daytime programming, you are home. Thank you for joining us. And what could possibly go wrong with 5 women in opinions?
Oh, gosh. Stop asking that question. Someone's got to answer it.
I love it. Thank you for joining us. So we like to break the ice with our panelists here with just a fun off-the-cuff question. So ladies, if tomorrow you could be a master at any skill, what? Maybe we don't want to know the answer. What would the skill be?
Please.
Go, Allie.
Oh, God, Allie.
Unfiltered, uncensored, Allie.
I have no idea. I'm already a pretty good shot, so I can't say that. If I were a master at anything, oh boy, I think it would just be communication.
Yeah. Well,
Communication.
you're really good at that already,
I know,
though.
but I think
better.
I could be better.
Like better.
I could be better. I
Get
could
it.
be better.
No judgment.
No.
I like that. That's awesome.
Got to know your limitations, guys.
Oh, man. So I'm going to go in a different direction. Hi, I'm Demi. Welcome to the panel here. I think I would probably say disguises.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
like CIA
What bank are we robbing? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
No, I just feel like if I were able to disguise myself or my voice and use it accordingly when
I know.
needed.
Yes.
Sneak into
I know
where
why.
exactly?
No,
What are we
I know
sneaking
why.
into?
Well, because of ARC, because of the
Human trafficking.
Yeah.
Association of Rescuing Children.
I want to get into that. We need to talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
we have a meeting coming up.
Okay.
So if you're serious,
'Cause
I
I've-
have to confirm that I can invite you in because you have to do the training typically.
okay.
But I'll ask
Ooh.
Mary because Mary's, you know,
Connections
Mary,
being made. I love it.
Mary
Hey.
Flynn. Well, Mary Flynn O'Neill. She is who I started this with, like alongside with her and
Nice.
that, and a few other people. So disguise would be my choice.
Ooh, a disguise.
like
I love
that.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you two have such like deep ones. Well, I'm Brianna. I just want to be better at line dancing, honestly. That's like my favorite thing to do. I will be doing that in the freaking kitchen. Okay,
If you
2
could do it
a.m. when I need a snack.
overnight, it would just...
Yes.
Oh,
Massive.
Are you
I
kidding
love
me?
it.
I'd be the coolest one at at the ranch at the Joyland.
Would you do folk
folk?
dance?
Never heard of that.
Like it's kind of like line
dancing.
dancing, but it's with instructions of different movements.
Oh, okay.
Amongst other people. And
She
you don't
might
always
like that.
have the same partner. You get to
It's
mix
a
it
partner.
up.
that's
That would
cool.
be
That's
fun.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
do that. I mean,
Okay.
I just
We
love
have one
dancing.
coming up.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'll let you know all about it after.
Okay.
During break.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, so mine kind of goes with yours, Allie.
Your name first.
Communication. Oh, I'm Vanola. And communication because I'm Indian. Do I speak any Indian language? No. I look Spanish. Do I speak Spanish? No. The only thing I speak is English. So I wish I could learn Spanish, some kind of Indian dialect, and sign language like
Oh, sign
that
language.
that's cool.
that would be amazing.
That is cool.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
I knew Russian for like a solid week and then I
love
lost
Russian.
it.
I don't know why. It's I don't know. I had a Russian
I learned
friend.
it for a boy and then it didn't work out, so I was like, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
The things you'll do for love, y'all.
Yeah.
We just love having our Gen Zer on panel because she brings it home to reality. So I'm going to be very raw and real and exposed here and tell you that my skill that I think everyone in my family wishes I could learn overnight is
you gonna say
cooking.
cooking?
Because I'm good. I can do like tamales, tacos. I'm good with like my ethnic stuff. But if you asked my household right now, would you like breakfast in bed? You know what they would say? You know the first question they'd ask?
Brianna,
Are you making it or is Dad? And it's really like I'll starve. if it's
Oh
making it.
no.
I don't know that domesticated gene of that part of it is like it just flew the coop here. It's not.
You can't
here.
make breakfast tacos?
Oh, wrap it in. Well, no, it's something's wrong with the texture of the eggs.
No,
or
yeah, it's just the way she makes eggs. I don't know. The way my dad does it, it's just so good.
I like to make sure stuff's dead. You know what I mean? Like it's like
My dad like leaves it almost like a little runny.
Yeah.
I like it like that, and then like a ton of salt.
You should watch one of those cooks.
I
can't
do.
remember what's his name. He does it really well.
Like
Teaches
Emerald
you how-
or
no, not him.
Hey, but if
The
we're
guy
talking,
that's always yelling at people. I can't remember his name right now.
Gordon Ramsay?
Yes, him.
Oh my gosh.
He has a
I would end
video
up
on
stabbing
how
him.
to make eggs properly.
really?
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
I
and
need
you
to
should
check
have to
that
look
out.
at
okay,
You
and
should
then
look at it.
remember, they're talking about white people food. If you're gonna make eggs properly to an Indian, you're gonna saute the onions first with a
Yes.
little bit of jalapeno. Then
Okay.
you're gonna scramble the eggs, and then you're gonna be happy.
That sounds very
Wow.
Filipino to me.
It does.
delicious.
That sounds very Filipino to me. I love food, so I'll just, that's all I want. Just take me to a place far, far away and feed me and show me architecture, and I'll just be the happiest person on the planet.
I love that you said that because this is the reason why the most hated question in our household is, what do you want for dinner? Because
oh my gosh, we
I
have
can
a dice. We roll the die and see what it says. And I'm like, gosh dang it, I do not want to do takeout again. We are done with takeout. My family.
It's weighted to the takeout.
yeah,
kids
that's
did
what
that.
it is. They
They
do that
must
on
have, they
purpose.
must have. But to say what you're saying, I have to piggyback off of that because I wish I was this amazing cook.
yeah.
I can take a recipe verbatim and I could do it.
Yeah.
And
You
there's
say
this
that.
there's these two dishes that my family always asks me for, right? But I get tired of making it.
Can't right. Pizza rolls.
And I do it just like I just do all these different seasonings. But I don't know how to cook like authentic anything except for the two
No?
major dishes I
What
know
are
how
the
to
major
do.
dishes you make?
It's called arroz con bichuela.
Okay.
I know
Arroz
arroz con pollo.
con
Arroz
bichuela.
con bichuela.
Ooh,
You know,
feel so white
with a
sitting next to you.
baked chicken and then pollo guisado.
yeah,
Oh.
pollo guisado.
My
That's
fam-
one of my favorites.
They're like, oh,
Of
mom,
carne
not
guisada.
again. I was like,
Oh.
but everybody else wants it.
Pollo
Give me
guisado.
some ideas. I don't like to buy pre-made things because of
No.
all the stuff that's in it.
Right.
But man, we could have a whole talk about that.
My
And this is the
goodness.
whole thing. Like
That
I'll
was
be
so cool hearing your accent.
I'm always
I feel
listen.
like I just felt like 10 shades whiter.
I'm
compared to you.
always asked to make pasteles, and I'm like, that takes like
Forever.
it takes 2 days. I
At
gotta buy the
least.
pork because I have to make the pernil, and then I have to season it. I gotta get the taro root. Like it's a
And
lot.
the texture.
These
And,
accents. Oh my gosh. I pronounce cake. It's quesadilla.
no, it's quesadilla.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Like quesadilla.
She's doing it on purpose.
Oh dear Jesus, help us. But the sweetest
Everybody loves it. They always want to know how to like cook authentically until it takes you 4.5 hours to make
Yeah.
a dinner that everybody's gonna
Yeah.
devour in like 10. And you're
about
sitting
it.
there like, my feet hurt, my back hurts.
Then we're gonna go to the
dishes.
TikTok and get the quick version.
That's
Easy,
what it
quick
does.
version.
Oh my goodness. So if like for instance, if you have an authentic Italian meal,
Oh,
they
yes.
are in the kitchen all day.
All day.
All day,
All
yeah.
day making
Fresh
that
pasta.
gravy.
The good gravy. I'm so glad you said gravy.
It's not sauce, it's gravy.
Not sauce.
gravy.
It's gravy.
Yes, girl.
So grandma
Oh my
thought.
goodness. And that takes a good while.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Feed
yeah.
us, talk to us, touch us. That's all we need.
Yeah.
That's really simple.
I feel so much more affirmed now that I am not the only one who
She feels
cannot
affirmed.
cook a meal because this is what my husband does. He is so sweet. So sweet. I'll be cooking and he'll come up gently behind me and either turn the stove a little down. He'll grab the seasoning. He'll put it in there. He'll turn it. It wasn't ready yet. No, it's ready. I'll turn it. You know, because he's like
it.
just nicely like, no, you do it.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
come in and do
yeah.
it behind you.
That's so
Oh my
cute.
I love you,
gosh.
babe. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, you know, I wish we could keep it fun and uplifting all day, but have you seen the world we're living in? Okay,
Back
so
to reality.
we are blessed to have our guest that's joining us remotely. I'm sure to you, the audience at Patriot TV, he's no stranger. His name is Colonel John Mills. He's not only the host of the Situation Room, he's an author, but he was the former director of cybersecurity policy, strategy, and internal affairs. He's got a wealth of knowledge. But Colonel
Absolutely,
Mills,
with that
I
title?
heard something the other day. First, welcome to the home front. Are you sure you're ready for this? I love it. I love it. I have a question for you. I heard the other day there was a conversation happening about the attempts by foreign nationalists, people that are here obviously illegally, trying to penetrate onto our military bases. This is not just happening once here, once there, but I don't read about it in mainstream media. Have you been hearing the same
This
thing?
is absolutely a coordinated, intentional effort. Now, I think one of the first times it really started to make the media was in 2019 when they Chinese nationals attempted to enter into the Key West naval. It's a little unclear because Key West has a number of small little micro installations. It's not one or two big installations, so it's a little unclear. But the Chinese were they were attempting to penetrate that facility or facilities. Now, isn't that interesting? In just a few years, they announced the opening or the reopening of the Lourdes Intelligence Base at in Cuba, 90 miles due south, and then also military training. And they did that as Tony Blinken was leaving China. They said not only going to do intel from Lourdes, we're also going to do military training. So it goes back a number of years, and even before then, there was a number of attempts to get onto Mar-a-Lago by Chinese nationals. So this is a coordinated campaign. This most recent one did get some traction in legacy media, but not as much. Then, and it's like two Middle Eastern foreign nationals, one who's on the terrorist watch list, both of which who seem to have been in this country illegally, tried to get into Quantico, which is about a 10-minute drive south of where I live. And I know exactly the gate they went into, and they were stopped, fortunately, by alert guards. But come on, this should be a national security crisis and issue. Yeah, it's absolutely, and it goes back a ways. There's been so many attempted penetrations by Chinese nationals who are not U.S. citizens, and the big one was 2019, where there was multiple attempts at the different facilities. They clearly, and I'm going back, I'm going, well, maybe they just wanted to know more about us in Key West as they secretly filtered into Lourdes, the spy base in Cuba, 90 miles to the south.
Yeah, it's so troubling. I know here in Florida, I saw in the news the other day, we had it was local news that was reporting it. We had some kind of our own spy balloon over Florida, but they said it wasn't a spy balloon. It was some other part of it, but it was literally a balloon. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I've heard that there's been unmarked, what do you call those that fly over? I'm looking for the word.
UFO?
No, kind of like taking surveillance pictures, like a drone.
Drones. Okay.
Like aliens?
It's not classified. I mean, you can look it up. It's Cudjoe Key. There's two balloons down there. One is a surveillance balloon. Now I don't know exactly what that carries. I'm not read onto that program. And the other one is it helps transmit radio Marti. So there's two different balloons at the same complex at Cudjoe Key. And then the Radio Marti's ground broadcast facility is close by. But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what they're doing. Is they want to know all the details of our facilities, because they are essentially targeting and preparing. They are essentially creating a master target list back at home in China, where they're saying, okay, in what order do we hit what facility with what kind of effect? So this is a very serious matter.
I'm just trying to figure out what Congress is doing. What can they do about this? Because obviously it is a national security issue. I mean, and we all know that the occupier in chief, who's currently sitting in our White House, is a national security issue. But what can Congress do about this, number one? And two, what can local, everyday people do about the situation?
Well, it's a great question. Let's start with the last one first. What can locals do? The Chinese know our legislation, laws, and regulations better than we do. Forget about the classified stuff. Everybody's, well, they're stealing top secret information. Actually, most of it, they're just reading our unclassified legislation, guidance, regulations. And unfortunately, they're reading it better than we do. And they know this stuff. But the local counties, whether it be in Michigan or in North Dakota or in other places, it's counties and citizen groups that oftentimes have had the best impact, because federal laws on a number of these matters are light or scant or not being enforced, or they know, like foreign purchases of a land. There actually is no law against foreign purchases of land close to a sensitive facility or purchases at all. There's no government agency that's tracking the foreign purchase of land. They know that because they read CFIUS and FIRMA. Sorry to be a legislation wonk here, but they read this closely and they know the gaps and seams, and they're playing them right back at us. And so our own bureaucrats need to get up a little earlier in the morning, spend less time on the DFC campaign, and realize that the Chinese read our laws and regulations better than we do, and they're playing it right back in our face. So that's so local counties taking action and making a stink out of this actually has huge impact. So right there, I can't remember which county the Key West Islands are in, but the county officials there should be raising a stink on this and making it an issue, and citizen groups should be making it an issue and just communicating it. Now, on the federal level, we need to do better, but we need to start operating, I would call it, in a wartime posture, which is different than the peacetime posture most U.S. bases operate at. And I'll give you a figurative example is that, in advance of Pearl Harbor, we lined all of our aircraft up neatly, wingtip to wingtip, because it was easier to secure them with ground guards walking around with rifles. Well, but that also made them very easy targets when the Japanese planes came in, and it made it a very easy strafing run. Well, they're all lined up right next to each other. They did a great job making it easy for me as the Japanese pilots came through. Same thing here. We have to start acting in a wartime manner. Now, believe me, I know the colonels and captains, the 06s that are the grumpy base commanders, said, I don't have the resources. If you want me to do this, I'm going to have to start pulling, this many people out of this many units on base to help provide gate security and perimeter security, blah, 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 blah. Yep, that's right. That's right.
Can I ask you, Colonel Mills, your opinion of, when I look at some of the video, for the past, I don't know how many, year and a half, 2 years, of those coming across our wide open southern border, I always see these fighting aged males. And I think, why aren't you in your homeland fighting for your homeland? Why are you coming here? It's not these necessarily all women and children. It's a lot of these fighting aged males. It feels like there's something, and most of our audience understands there's something awry, there's something going on, but could this be part of that, I guess, that war footing that we almost need in this country, understanding we are being invaded and they are fighting aged males, right?
Well, yeah, this is biblical. When males travel alone in groups, that communicates intent and conflict. When they travel with families and children, that's a bit different, okay? And this is very biblical. But let's come back forward to modern times. Same thing applies. This is ridiculous. And I've had wacko liberal colleagues say, oh, but they might get hurt staying and fighting in their own country, so they have to leave. And I go, get their rear end back to their own country and fight. That's what we had to do in 1776. This is ridiculous, and it's just a perverted logic. Oh, they're going to leave their women and children and old people behind. No, that sounds like cowardice. That sounds like they're not willing to, they don't have skin in the game. They don't care. And so, no, this is absolutely, and I spent some time in Panama with Michael Yon and Ann Vandersteel. My interest was tracking the Chinese paramilitaries. And I use that as a legal term and expression, paramilitary. I don't mean to be wonkish on everyone, but this is very important because I had to do legal reviews in the past of lawful combatants, who can get hit, who can't get hit, etc. I call them paramilitary. There is a component that are trying to escape, I think honestly trying to escape China. The situation is very bad in China, but they are also, I think, being outnumbered by clearly fighting age males. And it's a safety valve. It's an economic and social safety valve anyway inside of China, where they are having food issues, they're having employment issues. They kick them out and say, get out of here, go over there and occupy America, because there's I can't remember the general's name who did a paper, I think it was back in 2003. When they look at this relatively sparsely populated America, Canada, Australia, they look at those as essentially their excuse the historical expression, the Lebensraum, the living room that is theirs and they are entitled to occupy because they don't have viable land to grow crops. They literally don't. We have far better farmland. They have an extreme food shortage. This is their advanced guard of stormtroopers to essentially occupy what they see as historically theirs as they topple the United States from world leadership. So I think it's a very serious matter. They've always pivoted toward, and I've noticed this immediately, high cash operations such as legal cannabis. And it really shocks me the number of people on our side of the ledger who kind of freak out when I say, do not. I don't care if it's legal at the state level. You're funding foreign activity because of the high cash activity. This is all you need to watch is the first 2 episodes at Tulsa when Sylvester Stallone understood
That's
the
right.
Disneyland
That was a really good show,
opportunities.
by the way.
You can't bank the cash. It's ridiculous. And but massage parlors, casinos, people, please don't go to casinos. You're funding illicit activity, please. You know, and I just came back from Vancouver, British Columbia, which is a hotbed of Chinese operations, and Canada is in a full-blown campaign to try to retake Canada because they realize they've allowed such large CCP base camps to be set up. So the special operators pivot toward these high cash operations because these are perfect skimming opportunities to fund the anger pixies on campuses that are now suddenly Palestinian protesters that last week were
Anger
militant angry
pixies?
trans.
Hang on. You said anger pixies. That's like the best part. I'm sorry. That was just hilarious.
We're gonna put that on a T-shirt. Anger pixies.
That was really funny. So I do have a question for you. Do you think that this invasion that's currently happening, I guess, on not just our soil but in Canada as well, because they have an open border, but we do too. I'm more concerned about us here. But do you think that this is kind of like a silent war because they don't have to fire a shot? They're already here. And if they outnumber us because of the border being open.
The Chinese communists are much more sophisticated. The Soviets were much more brutish and thuggish and just stupid. Excuse me, I don't mean to upset any Soviet lovers out there, but yeah, the Chinese are much more. They're excellent at passive aggressive warfare on a nation state scale. That's how they conquer. That's how they took over Hong Kong. They play a very good passive aggressive game. Now, I retired from, the swamp and military and government service. So, hey, I know passive aggressive when I see it. That's a deep state game all the time. So we need to use it right back at them because that's what they're doing is this passive aggressive, just incrementally pushing the boundary.
We're gonna take a short break, but I do want to keep you, if you don't mind, after the break because I want to get into some of what you've done to try to tackle the deep state and even train the American people on how they can tackle the deep state. So we'll be back with you in just a moment. We'll be right back after this message. Hi, Homefront family. My name's Michelle. This is Allie, Demi, and Brianna. You know us. You've seen us on the show. But guess what? We have got a special way for you to see behind-the-scenes footage.
Oh, no.
You know that stuff that doesn't even make it on the show? Mm-hmm. It ends up on the cutting room floor. You think we're unfiltered on the show?
Oh, boy.
You should see what doesn't make it to the show. But guess what? That's only for our premium members. You have to subscribe to
Guys,
see
there's
that.
so much good content that doesn't even make it into our episodes. So you'll be able to see behind the scenes and us acting a fool.
We're always talking about, during the commercial break, oh, if only you guys could see during the commercial break. Well, now you can.
Now you can. So join in on the fun and see what we have to offer, even behind the scenes while things are cutting. We're still chatting.
And even some of the on the road, I mean, I won't tell you
oh
too
my
much.
God.
We're in West Palm Beach today, guys. And what could possibly go wrong with us in a car with some time to kill?
You always ask that. You always ask what could go wrong, but I feel like a million things could go wrong.
Nothing went wrong. I drove. I was the driver, and not a thing went wrong.
It's a good thing it was
bulletproof.
bulletproof.
She did the holy, She held on to the O.
It's only for our
SHID.
premium members, guys. So click subscribe. You'll get to see more of the home front.
Do it.
Hi, America. Welcome back to the home front. We are all like checking emails and then putting it back in the commercial break. I love it because we're multitaskers. Aren't you multitasking at home? We're doing 300 things at once. We're so blessed today to have Colonel John Mills with us here on the home front. He's obviously done his fair share of helping to protect our home front. And that's why we want to pick his brain on a lot of the things, current events that are happening today. I know, Vanola, you had a question for the Colonel.
So, Colonel, I represent all the crazy busy moms who are forgive us, please forgive us, but not educated as to what's going on. But this is what I'm hearing you say, American layman's terms. If you've watched the movie Home, or you watch the movie Transformers, it depicted aliens coming to Earth, destroying humanity so they would have a place to live because their planet was not conducive anymore. So, Colonel, is that what you're saying is happening? That is the mastermind of these brilliant, subtle, the enemy?
Oh, coming across
into
our
the
border,
United
yeah.
States?
That's a good question.
It's land purchases. It's as soon as a company name gets put on the Department of Commerce entities list, they just rename it, and it's all of the above. But getting very tactical. I remember several years ago, right at the beginning of the virus scam and created crisis. We've done a lot of homeschooling, AHG, things like that, and a homeschooling mom came to me and expressed concern that in their homeschooling group, somebody had introduced a number of textbooks, and I was like, "Holy smokes!" And boy, the ladies really had to lock horns, and it was, I think, of a well-meaning person. I don't think they were a communist mother who had infiltrated the group. I just don't think they knew any better, and they were trying to introduce some textbooks back before we really knew what wokeism was or any of this crazy, cancerous, hateful, toxic CRT, DEI. I just don't think they knew any better, and that's where you have to be vigilant because that's how they. One of our institutions is our family unit, is our churches, is our homeschooling groups, and that's where. It's not that we're out book burning. They always want to accuse us of burning books. No, it's being vigilant. What in the world are we allowing this tripe into the homeschooling group for? Now, they took care of that. I was very, very proud of that. But I'm really glad that just a couple of the mothers were just, hold on a second here. This suggested textbook doesn't make any sense. And they brought it to me. Oh man, yeah, whoever's doing that either is a communist agent mother or just doesn't know any.
Yes.
Well, I love that you said that because education, there's this quote, and I don't know where it came from, honestly, but I've used it so many times that I'll just claim it. It's you show me the education and I'll show you the way of the nation. And it's really, you educate you educate the child, right? I mean, well, it's cute. That's why it sticks, right? Because it rhymes. But you educate the child, so goes the soul of the nation. And if depending on how you're educating your kids, will show you what the fruit of that labor is going to look like. And so we're currently seeing that right now with Marxism and DEI and critical race theory. DEI didn't earn it, or diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Didn't earn
it. Us military and our acronyms, we can't. It's just I can't help it. So. What you said is very important, and I think a lot of people need to pay attention to that because if you're not educating your children grounded in truth, they're going to find the lie, and the lie will stick.
Yeah.
And once a lie sticks, that seed is very difficult. Those roots are really difficult to pull out and to replace. And so we need to make sure that our homeschools, especially, are like one of those saving graces where we're not accepting too much of government aid or government funding because with government money comes government ties. And I'm seeing that happen currently here in Florida where you have certain scholarships that are giving away these vouchers. And talk about free state of Florida, but they're determining what curriculum you can use while using this voucher. That completely undermines the whole idea of homeschooling your children.
That's happening right now.
And vouchers have like taken off through the whole country where we have different states. I think we're up to like 40 something states now, maybe
Something like that.
maybe
Yeah.
30. I can't remember because my hands are in so many different things. But a lot of the states that are picking up homeschooling and the vouchers, and so that's just something that we need to make sure that we're taking care of. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
That's
And
so
I know
good.
Demi had a question for you too.
It might take us in a different direction. I'm just curious, is there any information that's happening that we should be aware of that's happening in Cuba? Because I had a trip to Cuba last summer, and during my stay there, I noticed that a lot of the presidential figures or their leader figures are literally painted on like as murals on their buildings. And so I inquired, and I wasn't supposed to. I was told not to ask questions to the locals, but I did anyway. And so what they told me was that
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
no, what they informed me was that China actually purchased some of Cuba, and they can come and go as they please because they are like-minded in communism. And the same thing with parts of Russia. So they are coming into Cuba and they're purchasing lots, meaning land.
Hold the phone.
Yes, it's actually happening. And I had it word of mouth through the locals because I inquired, like, what is his face doing on that
Wow.
as a mural? And, you know, you see the Chinese flag and you see the Russian flag. And I'm like, what the heck did I just get into? And so I'm just curious, like, is that something?
After this, I want to add something so bad. But just go ahead and answer, Colonel.
I don't know. Just can you give me some insight on anything I just shared with you? What does that look like? Have you heard anything about it? Are you even aware that that is a thing? Should we be concerned? Because we're, like you said, we're 90 miles away from them.
Right.
So I'm just curious. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always the short history of communist penetration of Central and South America was, yeah, there was always a Soviet aspect to it, but even back then there was a Maoist aspect to it. And now, to be honest, the Russians are broke, enfeebled, and they got no cash to throw around. They got nothing. So it's all about China now. And if we would cut them out of the stock market and other places and turn off the ATM, China wouldn't have any cash either. But they come in. China is a thug, violent nation. Anybody you talk to is you've got to presume anybody you've talked to is being interrogated down there very violently, and I mean that literally, not figuratively. So it's, but yeah, the Chinese come in and they have a strategy to take over all. We just had a Molino just won in Panama, a strong populist, essentially a Trump figure in Panama. And he has no qualms. Hey, we do not like the Chinese. I mean, he made it pretty clear. So, but we got to get a lot more pushback. But one of the major more concerns is also the Bahamas, just 40 miles to the right. If you count the closest outcropping of rock, the Chinese are all over the Bahamas, and you know they have provisioned all of the telecom infrastructure. And the one or two undersea cables that go to the Verizon term, I can't remember what the name is, in downtown Miami, all that's being monitored by the Chinese in Panama. So, or excuse me, the Bahamas. So Bahamas are even as much, if not even more, infested with Chinese influence operations. It's only 410,000 Bahamians. And you just had Don Sanders, the minority conservative party was just assassinated in the Bahamas. Clearly, that was a hit. That was they said, oh, it was local crime. That was not local crime. That was Don Sanders was assassinated in the Bahamas. So, not to make your day, watch to your if you're facing south, watch to your left on the Bahamas, as well as Cuba.
And
Yeah.
can I ask you, Colonel? I mean, because you know you've lived this life. What can we assume that that's on somebody's radar? I don't think Ice Cream Love and Joe Biden is really watching that. It's got to be on somebody's radar.
I mean, does
And why
Congress
do
know?
why do we not hear about this on mainstream media?
Well, I inside of the deep state, you do have professional careerists that are, civilians, and they take an oath of office just like uniformed military. I've been both. And I think there are those who mean well, but I think more and more have forgotten that they took an oath to something called the Constitution, not to a permanent blue regime that just does whatever they want to do and are terrified of a return of Donald J. Trump marching triumphantly back into Washington, D.C. to dispose of the fourth, fifth, and sixth branches of government. So I think there are some people. Congress is overwhelmed. We've lost, because of several factors, we've lost strategic clarity of thought. It goes back to our education system, as I think it was Ali who brought up. It goes back to all these things where we can't get proper focused attention and triaging of the right emergencies in the right order. And that's the problem with Congress. It's a problem with the federal government. And then you also throw in the mix of CRT, DEI craziness. So we've lost strategic thought. And that's what I even noticed that when I was back in office, is just less and less. Truth and current events was the latest bullet you put on a PowerPoint slide, which was going to be different the next day anyway. So there was no deep understanding of history, of the role of government, of roles and missions of the executive branch of the Constitution, etc. You had a lot of people with Ivy League degrees that were stupid in these positions, and yet they're the ones who are responsible for policy and implementation of policy. So I apologize. I should have started. The short answer is yes, there are. The problem is strategic thought has been heavily diluted with this craziness we're experiencing.
So I have something I would like to bring up to you. What are your thoughts on elected representatives meeting with the Cuban communist regime and people from Cuba that are on the terrorist watch list?
Ooh.
Well, I think it's a real bad idea. I mean, this is look, we got Rob Malley and Mihar Bitar, that are clearly Iranian agents on the Biden team. I mean, hands out. I mean, I'm not being hyperbolic here. I mean, they are. Rob Malley's been removed from his position because there's a counterintelligence investigation going on. This guy is a Iran lover, and yet he's the one who's in charge of our negotiations with Iran. And a number of people who are just ideologically back guano crazy, that just love the totalitarianism. You can get so much done with totalitarianism. That's a scary thought. So I think it's a bad idea meeting with these folks, meeting with terrorist groups, meeting with Iran. These people couldn't care less about us, couldn't care less about mistreatment on a horrific scale. These are bad people who do not understand our constitutional heritage, values, and individual rights and liberty.
Well, they don't even care about it, right? They have no respect or no reverence for liberty or individual sovereignty, right? But so just to kind of bring this a little tighter to you, so we had here in Tampa, but well, not here because I'm in Sarasota, but Tampa in Florida, we had a sitting court of clerk. So the clerk of court was there. We had a school board member, countywide, was there. And I believe it was 2 city council members met with who I had just previously told you were meeting with the communist Cuban regime and a few people on the terrorist watch list there. It was brought to some people's attention and nothing ever happened. They did some kind of media spin and it all just vanished and went away. I have a huge issue with that. I mean, how are we having sitting representatives who are integral in infrastructure, integral in education, integral in our courts, and they're meeting with people that do not have reverence or respect for the American way of life.
Wait a minute.
And they're a part of the Democrat Socialist Party. So what are we even really doing here?
But didn't they set up a certain general the same way, and they're saying that now he did all these things?
Right.
Wake up, people. What they try to say we're doing, they are doing themselves 100%. Colonel, I have to tell you, here at the home front, we pride ourselves on the fact that our audience is mostly comprised of people who know that something is not quite right, and they almost are discovering these topics right with us sitting here at this table. The same thing, I read a little bit about you, the same thing kind of happened when you started questioning and realizing that there was, in fact, a deep state, or as you describe it, the fourth, fifth, and sixth branches of government. So if somebody's sitting here watching this today, this is all new to them. What is the first thing that they can do? I know we're going to point them towards your 2 books because they're outstanding, but what can somebody who's just finding this out for the first time, that there's a lot happening behind the scenes, there is a deep state, what words would you tell them?
Is one, I urge everyone that 97% of us should spend 99% of our energy right in the 3,300 counties or county equivalents we have across the nation. That's the foundation of an unlawful deep state, is corrupt counties. And and it's only a handful of counties that are really throwing the national dialogue, whether it be Fulton County, Georgia, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, Maricopa and Arizona, and there's a handful. It's only about 20, 25 counties that are just absolutely corrupt, back guano crazy. So secure your county first and the nation will follow. Focus, focus, focus on whether you have a clean county. And you say, well, we have a Republican, county council. Well, yeah, Maricopa has a Republican county council. How did that work out? They're corrupt. So hold them accountable. Just don't say, well, we have people with R's behind their name, so obviously we're clean. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You understand the 7 key centers of gravity in all county equivalents. And that's your clerk. I think somebody mentioned the clerk of the court, your registrar who runs elections. Sometimes it's called a recorder or other names. County council, city council, sheriffs, judges, and prosecutors. Adopt one of those 7 or more and just start understanding more and more and more about the conduct, behavior, and governance of your county, and hold those officials accountable. Because even if they're clean, they act very differently if they know citizens are actually taking the time to read state law, county guidelines, and actually asking reasonable questions. They're not going crazy. But anytime there's an open mic session at one of those forums, show up and say something intelligent and ask a reasonable question, because again, even if they're clean, they behave a lot differently when they go, oh, wow, I actually have never read that state law. I'll be right back to you because I need to go read that state law. I don't even know what you're talking about. They won't say that out loud, but
he's
that's
feeding
what
my patriotic
Yes.
my patriotic senses here. Like, I love everything he's saying, because we've heard General Flynn, America's general, say this all the time: local action equals national impact. He's 1,000% correct. This is why I love what I do with Moms for America as far as civic engagement, because if we do not have an educated voter populace, or actually an educated populace at all, that is plugged in to those 7 pillars right there in your local county, they're able to get away with almost everything. So you have to pay attention to what's going on and hold them accountable by asking questions and building relationships.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for bringing that up, Colonel. I appreciate it.
Yes, and Colonel, I know I wanted to make sure our audience knows you do have a book that's sort of I think it's kind of an action plan on dismantling the deep state. Really, it's the war against the deep state. There's also another book, The Nation Will Follow, which I think is kind of what you were talking about. Where can people get plugged in? Where can they find you on social media, and where can they get those books? Where can they get their hands on them?
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's Colonel Rhett John, Colonel R.E.T. John, Substack, Getter, and Truth. The 2 books are available on my store. You can get signed copies there. Unsigned copies, just go to Amazon. But yeah, the first book, The Nation Will Follow, is me understanding and realizing I was right in the middle of something Donald J. Trump was calling the deep state, and that I was material witness to the coup against candidate and then President Trump. And then I realized, really the action plan for most citizens is that local action plan we just talked about. Now, war against the deep state is really about the foundations of the mass surveillance system that I was part of in 2007 to 2014, created with legal purposes and intent, which really has been perverted and now weaponized against the American citizen, and really about the rise of the fourth, fifth, and sixth branches of government, the administrative state, the fusion of law enforcement, intelligence, and big tech, and then the nonprofits, and then the plan to take those down with the change of administration.
I love that. Colonel, I would love to meet with you and have you on again to go over just the nonprofits, because I think people do not understand. It's taken me a long time to ask the right questions. We could probably spend 40 minutes on that. Colonel, thank you so much for joining the home front, and especially thank you for serving to protect the home front. We love and cherish you here, and we can't wait to have you on again.
Oh, thank you to all of you. God bless you. Thank you, ladies. And couldn't have done it without your support. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye. Wow. Gosh. Okay. On that note, we are going to take our second commercial break. We'll be right back with more Homefront. Stay tuned. Hi, guys. Thank you for tuning into the Homefront. My name is Michelle. You know, I wanted to welcome you to a new program that we have through the Homefront. Some of us, as we've seen what's happened in our country, we think, I want to get involved. I want to do something. Myself, I'm running for office. But guess what? I'm not a crony politician, so to start is very, very difficult. That's where the Homefront jumps in. We're going to give you all the tools you need to not only activate in your community, because local action equals a national impact, right? But also to maybe see if you want to run for office. Are there topics you want to learn more about? Current events? Do you want to know how to apply pressure to politicians at just the right point? Then you want to go to the homefront.tv. We've got a new training program for you. It's kind of how I started. I mean, you don't know these things if you're not a seasoned politician, right? Thank you for joining us.
And if you're like me and you're Gen Z and you're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or wherever you usually find your news information, and you're like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. But you get that gut feeling that's like, is this actually accurate and can I trust this? But then you're like, well, how can I figure out if this is true or not? What, Google? Like, Google's going to tell me if something's accurate or not? You can also find Perfect News there. You can figure out what's correct and what's not correct. This will actually help you get more involved. As you know, Gen Z, we're becoming adults, so now it's our turn to start taking the initiative on some things.
They're growing up.
Unfortunately.
Yes. And with a bright future.
Bright future.
Okay, and then I'm Demi, and I'd love to just mention really quickly that this training program will also involve the Sheriff's Department. Get involved with your local Sheriff Department. I have a daughter who is in law enforcement, and she has a lot to say, and she said plenty enough on the show and other episodes. You should join in and fight the great fight.
That's
Fight the
right.
great fight,
That's
yeah.
right. And I think,
tune in.
Yeah, like what Demi's saying, the sheriff is so important to know your sheriff and to get involved.
Yes.
So, yeah.
This is a great way.
The homefront.tv, guys, it's on you to get involved. Hi, America. Welcome back to the Homefront. Well, we were so blessed to have Colonel Mills on with us, obviously talking about some really heavy topics. But listen, if we just get busy with our day-to-day lives, I'm talking like laundry, attempting to cook dinner, paying bills, obviously trying to live in Biden's economy. It's heavy, and it's done on purpose, right? To be able to distract you from everything that's really happening behind the scenes. I need you to make sure we like to give homework. Oh, I'll save that for the homework at the Homefront. What did you guys think about Colonel Mills? What did you think about the idea that we have fighting age males coming across our border?
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's even more terrifying realizing how everyone I know has no idea.
I think that's the part for me, is that most people have no clue. And they're not going to know until something happens.
And you know, Allie, this is what happened in my country is Zimbabwe was they educated the uneducated with propaganda. And then the government had this whole army of people who just thought the way they did. And that's why we were forced to leave our country. My friends were murdered as farmers just by sinking into the education system. You know, so it's pretty terrifying.
It's really frightening when you think about it. You know, years ago, we were concerned about our borders because, we had people from Mexico coming in, which has always been an issue, right? But now we have people from other countries that are making their way to Mexico to then cross our borders. And look at all the things that are happening. We have children that are wearing special bracelets to identify what they'll be used for when they cross that border. Then, there's like 5 different colors If I'm not mistaken, I don't recall what colors they are specifically, but one is for harboring body parts, for using for liver transplants and different things like that. There are women who are being crossed the border with a certain bracelet so that they can give birth to children. They'll be used just as mules to give, make babies and unrecorded. Is that the right word? Undocumented babies.
Anchor babies.
So yeah, you're basically an incubator. You're just for them, for their purpose. You're being used just to give birth to children after every single one. And then there's a third one where they are to be used for prostitution, for being sold
Income,
for sex as
creating
income, right? And then there are those that are being sold solely as a one-time sale because they know you're not going to make it after the abuse and the suffering that you're going to endure on your body as little as week old babies. And so each bracelet identifies what your quote unquote purpose is for them
So
to
when
use you.
people want to protect this whole illegal process, thinking they're being kind, they're actually fostering
Yes.
abuse and murder.
Yes.
And they're just completely ignorant.
Yes.
That's the party of
Yes.
inclusion for you. It's the party of oppression. It's the party of inclusion. It's the party of destruction and hurt and pain and tyranny. That's all them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether they want to know it or not,
Yeah.
that's what they are.
It's like I call it the rape of the American dream.
1000%.
Literally,
It is
that's
so-
exactly. And I
it
hate
is-
that term,
it's
but
so
that's
violent.
exactly what
But
it
it's a
is.
violent, it's
And
purposely
it's
a
never
violent term.
about the act. It's
Yeah.
always about the power.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
And
when
the end result.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what the bracelets
But I mean,
mean,
you think the
they're
devil
coming.
comes to kill, steal, and destroy,
Well, that's what they're doing
right?
to our
And
country.
so you might feel powerful in the moment while you're being used by him, but his end result is the wages of sin is death. After he's used you, he will destroy you.
Yes.
It destroys the vessel.
Yes.
Brianna, I have to ask you, we love having our youngsters on our panel because
Youngsters.
we have to, we're not that old, because, we have to bring in all generations to this conversation. This is your country that you're going to inherit. When you're around your friends, do you feel like they're at least, this might not be a topic of conversation, but are they aware
No.
this is happening?
I never really talk about this with my friends. And I'm out with my friends, it's like distraction from
Distract.
everything that's going on. We never really talk about politics, to be honest. Maybe a couple of friends, but even that's just, it's not like a conversation really. It's just like
See,
flippant remarks.
I could see that for you because look who you're related to.
Yeah.
Right.
That I could understand. But I would think that your generation would have questions about what's happening. And you don't hear that at all?
Well, I mean, everything that we've just talked about, it's all new for me. I just now have learned about
Okay.
everything.
No,
So-
that's fair. That's fair. I
Yeah.
thought
So,
these
I
are
mean-
things that you would have known just because
No.
of your mama bear over there.
I mean, well, Colonel dropped some bombs on us. I don't even think we were prepared for today.
No,
so
that's true.
Allie
That
and I
is-
were looking
I
across
was like, what?
Yeah.
Insane. But I mean, honestly, I don't remember ever really being or discussing politics at Brianna's
know.
age. So
Sure.
we were just constantly just worried about the 3 feet in front of us. Like, what
Sure.
what are we going to eat for dinner, Mom?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Especially when your mom cooks like me.
I have to be worried if I'm gonna have
just
her
brought it
dinner
back.
or pizza rolls, you know?
Oh, no.
Oh my
No way.
gosh.
I mean, so how do you think your friends would react if you brought up some of this stuff? Like, hey,
Yeah.
did you know that?
Depends on the friend. I feel like the Gen Z, it's like hit or miss. They're either gonna take it and be like, oh my gosh, what? How are we gonna fix this? Or they're just gonna be like, well,
Oh,
That's a
And
fair
just
statement.
didn't think about
though.
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That is a fair statement. And if I put you in a corner, I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. I was just really curious. But to her point just now, when she just said that, it made me remember there was another woman slightly older than me. And she asked me, so what do you do for a living? What do you do for fun? I'm like, oh, for fun, I go and, I like to rescue the babies, and throat punch the people. But,
Heck yeah.
right,
Amen to
when she
that.
asked the
More throat
details,
punching.
people don't want to know the details. They don't want to know
Yeah.
the reality.
Right.
Don't ask the question if you're not ready to know. And when you do hear the answer, get ready because now you've been informed.
Yep.
You have information.
Yep.
What are you now going to do about it with the information that you were just given? So if you ask, get ready.
I think the thing is too, like my older friends are probably the ones that are more receptive, but my younger ones, they're
Yeah.
the ones that are like, oh well. So it
Okay.
kind of depends on the age too.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, and that's hopefully part of what we're doing is being able to, you out there might have a grandson or a granddaughter who's like that college age. like Demi said, you've now been gifted with the knowledge, but with that, it can't just sit with you. You've got to engage your community in these conversations. I'll tell you a good start, because we always give homework here at the Homefront, is go to, I hate to advertise for Amazon, but you can get Colonel Mills's 2 books, The War Against the Deep State, and the one that I actually have kind of just started, The Nation Will Follow. That one is amazing, because it really does tie back to your local community and how the trails of what you do here locally, school board, county commission, state, how that just ripples throughout the nation. The nation will literally follow what you're doing in your local community. So get your hands on those 2 books. I know we're out of time. I want to make sure that I give thanks to Cape Hayes Tavern for the yummy, yummy food that
So
we are
delicious.
able to nourish ourselves with. Thank you. They can be found at capehaystavern.com. Also, don't forget to go to thehomefront.tv. You can see all the replays there. We're going to tie it up with prayer. I think it is such a heavy topic.
Yeah.
We've got to pray, right? Ladies, if you want to jump in as we pray, you can too. Father God, we just come before you today on the home front, and we thank you, Lord, for your mercy and grace that goes upon us. Lord, we have such heavy topics sometimes that we deal with here, that we discuss and that we discuss to our viewers, Father, but we know we're not supposed to live in fear. And I just pray that the information that we've been given that will not drive us to a place of fear, but that we would actually get that wartime footing that the Colonel talked about. I know your word says, Lord, to always be ready to give a response for the reason that we have the hope that we have. I hope that we're always spreading the message of the blood of Jesus, but also the hope that's found in Jesus, because these are dark times, and we know the days are numbered, Father, but there's still a lot for us to be done, for us to do here on earth. Father, I always remember when you talk about on earth as it is in heaven, that used to trip me up so much, if I'm just being honest here, because I never really understood that we could have some of those giftings on earth here on heaven, that's actually your will for us. So we need to step into those dark places of human trafficking, of what's going on at our southern border, of the greed and the misuse of power right in our own local municipalities. So equip us, Lord, equip our audience to go into this battleground, Father. And we just pray that your Spirit leads us. And we just thank you in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That's the Homefront, guys. We hope you'll join us every day, Monday through Friday, right here on Patriot TV. And hey, if you didn't get enough of us, we're also on the weekends. We'll see you next time.